Picture the shimmering lights of the 1970s, the spinning disco balls, and the unforgettable sound of ABBA filling stadiums across the world. For Swedish musicians, Benny Andersson, Arne Fred, Lyngsted, Bernays and Agnia Feldskog rose to become pop royalty, their music instantly recognizable and their image seemingly flawless. To fans, ABBA was the perfect union of love, friendship, and artistry. But behind the sequence, the choreographed smiles and the polished performances, the truth was far messier. For decades, many believed ABBA's breakup was the natural result of time, changing musical tastes and ordinary personal differences. But now Benny Andersson himself has spoken out, and his words have cast new light on a side of Anna Frid, known to the world as Frida, that fans never truly saw. He described her not only as brilliant, passionate, and fiery, but also as unpredictable and at times deeply destructive. Their partnership, once built on love and music, eventually crumbled under bitterness, betrayal, and wounds that never fully healed. Frida's struggles, however, were not confined to her relationship with Benny. Throughout her career, she faced clashes, rivalries, and personal tragedies that revealed a woman far more complicated than the carefully crafted ABBA image ever suggested. At the heart of her most painful conflict was, of course, Benny Andersson. In the late 1960s, when they first met, Frida was already a force to be reckoned with. Independent, ambitious, and determined to succeed, she carried herself with confidence and charisma. Benny, already recognized as a musical genius, saw in her both immense talent and a presence that could captivate audiences. Together, they became ABBA's second power couple. Their romance, often compared to Bernays and Agnia Feldskog, but while Bern and Agnetha's marriage was known for its turbulence, Benny and Frida's story unraveled in darker, more bitter ways. Behind the music, Benny's structured, perfectionist approach clashed with Frida's fiery, emotional style. He craved control. She demanded freedom. In the studio and at home, those differences sparked conflict. By the early 1980s, rumors of Benny's infidelity circulated, and when the truth surfaced, Frida was devastated. Betrayed as both a wife and a creative partner, she was left humiliated and heartbroken. Their marriage dissolved in 1981, and though ABBA itself was nearing its end, the bitterness between them didn't fade. Frida often described him as cold and detached, while Benny, for his part, admitted he struggled with her intensity and her refusal to let go. And Benny wasn't the only person Frida struggled with. For years, fans speculated about a rivalry between Frida and Agnia. On stage, the two women were presented as partners, friends, even sisters in song. But privately, their relationship was strained. Agnia, with her blonde hair, soaring vocals, and angelic image, was often seen as the face of ABBA, while Frida, with her darker beauty and huskier voice, felt overshadowed. The tension grew quietly but steadily. Who would sing lead? Whose photo would be front and center on an album cover? Those subtle battles fueled distance between them. By the time ABBA dissolved, the friendship between Frida and Agnia was fractured. While the world assumed their split was amicable, insiders knew otherwise. But Frida's personal challenges went back much further than ABBA. Her story began under the shadow of war. Born in 1945, at the very end of World War II, she came into a world that almost immediately rejected her. Her mother, Sine Lyngsted, had fallen in love with a German soldier, Alfred Hasse, during the Nazi occupation of Norway. When the war ended, women who had relationships with German soldiers were branded traitors, shamed, and ostracized. Their children, derisively called Tyskerbarn, or German children, were treated even worse. Frida never knew her father, believing for most of her life that he had died in battle. Her mother fled with her to Sweden, hoping to escape the cruel stigma. But even there, the scars of rejection followed. Imagine growing up knowing your very existence was considered a mistake, that the country of your birth despised you. That trauma marked Frida deeply, shaping her relationships and leaving her constantly searching for love, stability, and belonging. Years later, she learned the truth. Her father had survived the war. Their reunion, however, was nothing like the happy ending she had long dreamed of. It was awkward, distant, and ultimately disappointing. The hole left by his absence never fully closed. For years, the world saw Frida as ABBA's strong, fiery warrior, a woman with red hair, charisma, and power. But behind the bold image was a woman haunted by abandonment and loss. After the heartbreak of her failed marriage to Benny, she sought a new chapter, and in 1992, she seemed to find it. That year she married Prince Heinrich Rousseau-Reuss of Plauen, a German aristocrat. Overnight, Frida became a real-life princess living in a castle in Switzerland. From the outside, It looked like the fairy tale ending she deserved. In truth, the marriage was far more complicated. Prince Heinrich was wealthy, respected, and influential, but also traditional and controlling. For a woman who had spent her entire life fighting for independence, Frida once again found herself in a cage. She had traded the pressures of fame for the suffocating rules of aristocracy, and then tragedy struck again. In 1998, her beloved daughter Anne-Lee was killed in a car accident. For Frida, it was the most devastating loss of her life. Her daughter had been her anchor, her reason to move forward after ABBA, after Benny, after everything. Without her, Frida's world collapsed. She withdrew from public life, isolating herself almost completely. The fiery, confident woman who once commanded stadiums with her presence now lived in shadows, consumed by grief. She stopped performing, stopped appearing, and for years she grieved in silence. To this day, the world remembers Annafrid Lyngstad as one of ABBA's icons, an extraordinary performer with undeniable talent, but behind that legacy lies a story of heartbreak and survival. Born into rejection, she fought her way into global fame. She endured betrayal, devastating loss, and years of loneliness. And yet, she endured. Even when she retreated from the spotlight, her voice, her presence, and her songs remained. The music was always hers. Now, with Benny Andersson finally breaking his silence, fans are left to reconsider everything they thought they knew. Was Frida simply a victim of circumstance, a woman marked by tragedy, or was her fiery, uncompromising nature part of what fueled the conflict around her? One thing is certain, ABBA's story and Frida's place within it is far more complex than the glitter and the hits suggest. Her life is a reminder that even those who seem larger than life carry shadows, and that the brightest lights often burn against the darkest storms.